It may surprise some of you to learn that for the last 10 months or so, I've been training nearly entirely from home. I've been going to the gym maybe once every 2 weeks, mainly to film, and I've been filming outside a little bit more, but on the whole, 90% of my training has been done from home. But in spite of this, rather than actually losing muscle and performance, I think I've actually made gains. I've gotten stronger, I've gotten bigger, and people have even commented on my recent videos saying I look like I've made gains. This might seem counterintuitive. We tend to think of working out from home as a compromise, as what we do when we can't get to the gym, and we just kind of accept that we're going to lose a bit of muscle as a result. Truth is though, working out from home isn't just a compromise. It's a lot more convenient and practical, sure, but beyond that, I actually think in some ways, it's actually good for your gains. It can actually accelerate your progress if you're doing it correctly. So in this video, I'm going to discuss how to train from home to make serious gains. So my house is actually pretty difficult to train in as well, which doesn't help. It's covered in kids' toys. It's not the biggest. I don't have a separate room to train in. So if I can do it in that space, then hopefully all this will apply to you as well. I've actually come to a much nicer home to film in today for that very reason. My house is not cinematic. I can't go 2 minutes without stepping on a Hot Wheels car. So I've come somewhere a little bit more attractive, and I'm pretending for a day that I live here instead. I think the main criticism most people would have, and the reason that most people would be hesitant to train entirely from home, is they think they can't build the kind of massive strength they can build at the gym. Obviously, if you're bench pressing 170 kilograms or doing massive squats, you're going to struggle to replicate that at home unless you have tons of space and equipment like a big garage. If you don't have all that stuff, then how can you possibly build that much strength? Well, there's a few points here. Contrary to what social media would have you believe, the people that are bench pressing and squatting that much are very much in the minority. Chances are, if you're watching this video, that's not you. You can build a lot of strength from home, and only then when you actually need to bench press that much or squat that much, do you have to sign up to a gym. But then I also think you probably need to assess your goals in the first place, because a lot of people are obsessed with building tons and tons of strength. I think social media doesn't help with this, when actually that's not really a logical goal for most people. I wouldn't say that most people need to be able to bench press 150 kilograms. There's very few scenarios in the real world where you're actually going to have to do that. As I've discussed before, if you're being pushed by that much weight, if you're pushing that much weight, unless you're lying on the ground, you're going to go backwards. You're not going to be able to just push it forwards. Same with deadlifting, right? Being able to pick something up off the ground is incredibly functional, a really useful movement pattern. But how often in your life do you pick up something that heavy from the ground? And when you do, it's usually an awkward shape, so you won't be picking it up like a deadlift. You'll probably be picking it up like this, and then you're normally going to have to walk with it or do something with it. We very rarely just have to pick something up and put it back down. Getting a weight on your back for a squat, you don't really put things on your back like that are that heavy. Again, these are useful patterns, they're very useful for athletic training, but for the majority of people, it's not necessary. And in this way, I think that this obsession with strength is a bit of a negative distraction. It takes away from what fitness should be, which is all-round, well-rounded performance, and that's what you can do very, very well at home. It's only when you choose to specialize and reach the very, very upper echelons of strength that then you need to invest money and time buying expensive equipment or training at a gym. So that's one reason that training from home is going to be perfectly fine for most people. The other thing that you might be more concerned about is building big muscle. If you're looking to get the kind of Instagram physique, again, there's social media weighing in, then you might again think you can't do this very effectively from home. But again, that's just simply not true. First of all, the most desirable physiques that you look at aren't necessarily that massive. As I've tried to explain on this channel a fair bit recently, it's about the combination of muscle and low body fat. It's about having good body composition, and you can achieve this by just combining basic strength training with cardio and then just giving it time. Compared with lifting extremely heavy weights and bulking, eating massive amounts of food, this is going to give you the kind of physique that most people would find more desirable and that looks more athletic, and because you'll have a better strength-weight ratio, you'll probably be more performant as well. And I'm not talking about getting to like 8% body fat. I think for most people, that's not a particularly healthy lifestyle. But if you can get to 12 or 10, you're going to look great. It's going to be relatively sustainable. And if you have a decent amount of muscle as well, you're going to look fantastic. You can build a good physique using just bodyweight training, and if you think that you're too strong now to do lots of push-ups, well then there's plenty of variations you can use in order to make them more difficult by changing the leverage or the angle, or by isolating a single muscle group, or by doing it unilaterally, just on one side. With a couple of dumbbells, isolation movements like bicep curls and bent over rows, you can get an awful lot of muscle this way. And if you get up to 35 kilograms at home, that's going to do you in an awful lot of positions. And again, it's only those big compound movements where it's going to be a problem. Especially if you start doing things like drop sets, or what I've been talking about an awful lot lately, which is high repetition bodyweight training. Things like high reps of push-ups, pull-ups, sit-ups, all those things. By maintaining pressure on the muscle and going to failure, you can actually achieve amazing results. And at the same time, you can train from home if you want to improve your cardio, your endurance, you can train your mobility, all that other stuff. You can train skills, whether it's hand balancing or advanced calisthenics skills, martial arts even at home. All of these things are going to take your performance to the next level. This is something that I just think gets overlooked so much. So many people are focused on whether or not they can bench and squat these huge numbers, and so they think they can't train from home. That's admirable, of course, but they forget there are plenty of avenues for performance. If you're massively strong but you have no endurance, you have no mobility, then I think overall your fitness isn't where it could be. So if you're looking for an area to progress and you've maxed out your strength as far as you can improve it at home, which I think is unlikely, but let's just go with it, then I think that pursuing these other areas like endurance, like mobility, like skills, is going to give you plenty of areas to keep on improving from home and to become all around an incredibly athletic individual. All this stuff will also feed into a better physique, more energy to do more things. You will become a better overall performer by diversifying in this way, and you can do it all from home. I should also say at this point that if you are looking for a training program to use from home that will build not only strength, but also aesthetics and endurance and speed and agility and mobility, even brain function, then you might enjoy my ebook and training program, Super Functional Training 2.0. It can be done without buying any equipment. You can do everything with body weight and a few MacGyvered instruments like a heavy rucksack. But also adapts if you do have things like kettlebells and a pull-up bar to take it further. And you can use it at the gym, of course. It comes with over 2 hours of instructional videos, an 80-plus page ebook, and full training program. So if that sounds interesting, then check it out in the link down below. Of course, there are plenty of other programs out there. And if you're just starting out, then nearly anything is going to be better than nothing. Of course, you can get a long way from home. You can do an awful lot of mobility. You can use calisthenics to build a lot of strength. But at the very least, you're going to want some kind of anchor point in order to improve your lats and your biceps, because you can't pull very easily if you only have your own body weight. The good news is that there are lots of options here. Of course, you can buy a pull-up bar that can go into your door frame. If you don't want to damage your door or you don't have the right kind of door frames, then instead you can mount one on your wall outside. You guys have seen that that's what I've done. I also really love using dip bars, and with those you can do assisted pull-ups, you can do L-sit pull-ups, you can also do bodyweight rows, which are great. And when it comes to bodyweight rows, you can do this with no equipment. If you get a bed sheet, clip it behind your door, tie a knot in it and shut the door so that it's anchored, so you're pulling against the door frame, not the direction it opens. Then you can lean back and perform bodyweight rows that way. Or you can even do it underneath a big table if you hold on to the bottom of a table. There are lots and lots of options. Likewise, dumbbells are going to be great for pressing movements, dumbbell presses, overhead presses. You can use them for curls, of course, and you can use them for bodyweight rows and tricep kickbacks, targeting those muscles with isolation. A lot of these movements you can mimic with bodyweight, so it's not 100% essential. And at the same time, you can always fill a heavy rucksack or dustbin or something with books, with water, and that way turn it into a tool to curl. So you don't necessarily need to spend money on that. Likewise, adding a heavy backpack is a great way to add resistance, add more weight to a bunch of different exercises. You guys know that I'm a big fan of kettlebells. Kettlebells are brilliant because you can swing them, making them a great alternative for that hip hinge motion, which is something we should be doing. Kettlebells are also great as a form of endurance training and strength endurance. This is the kind of strength you need in the real world, whether doing labor, whether playing sports or anything else. It's also fantastic for recomposition. You can even use a kettlebell to practice things like a clean and jerk, clean and press, snatches, things similar to what you would do with an Olympic lift. Something that's otherwise very difficult to do, even in most gyms. That's one option for cardio. Another fantastic one is jump rope. Jump rope is brilliant to do outside, but you can also do it indoors if you have enough space or if you use the right tools. And that's where today's sponsor, Crossrope, comes in. Crossrope make fantastic jump ropes, what I think are the best jump ropes available, and you can easily detach and reattach different ropes. This allows you to increase the resistance using slightly heavier weighted ropes, or to go lighter. Of course, training with a jump rope might not be suitable if you're in a smaller home, but that's where Crossrope's ropeless handles come in. These give you a kind of widget that spins in the same way as the rope, giving you that same feedback, allowing you to practice the very same movement pattern. These also provide a little bit of resistance, which of course further increases the calorie burn versus just hopping on the spot. And if you combine this with their amp handles, these are their smart handles that track your jumps and guide you through workouts, then this makes it a far more engaging and gamified way to train, where you can track your progress, see how many calories you're burning, etc., see yourself improve over time. Makes this kind of training a lot more fun. It's something you can do standing in front of the television, literally anywhere. Also a great option for traveling. Use the link down below and enter code Bioneer at checkout, and you'll get 15% off your first pair. Thanks again to Crossrope for sponsoring this video, and now on with the show. The other thing, of course, about training from home is that it allows you to train with greater frequency, and this is actually going to make a big difference to your gains. Firstly, of course, because adherence is king. If you want to see gains, you have to actually train. You have to be consistent with your training, and training from home makes it so much easier to be consistent. I mean, you know already all these things, but it means that you don't have a commute. You don't have to drive to the gym. You don't have to go outside when it's rainy or cold. You don't have to feel self-conscious doing training in front of strangers. You don't have to queue for equipment, so it can be much quicker. If you go to the gym, then a 40-minute workout can often end up taking an hour and a half, especially if you're going to have to shower as well. If you train from home, you can genuinely do a 40-minute workout in 40 minutes. And at the moment, the way I do it is I train just before I would be showering anyways, so I don't even need to worry about that. If you're someone who feels a bit self-conscious about working out, if you're someone who's struggled to convince yourself to train in the past, then going to the gym, going from nothing to having to do this horrible commute multiple times a week, be stared at by everybody, it's just not appealing, and it's no wonder that a lot of people don't stick to these goals. That said, the problem with that is that a lot of people don't train enough. They're not getting the stimulus at home because they're not using heavy weights. They just do a few push-ups and they stop. The key is that minimum effective dose. It's to train with enough intensity that you feel the muscles feeling swollen. You do this by maintaining the focus on those muscles and that it's affecting the right area. But at the same time, if you're training from home and you're using the kind of weights that you would have from home or using just body weight, then that means you're going to be training in a way that doesn't create quite as much fatigue, quite as much muscle damage. In other words, your recovery is going to be faster. And for me, again, this has been the real game changer. Since I've switched to doing more home body weight workouts again, I've been training far more frequently. Training for just 30 to 40 minutes is not creating that much fatigue or recovery debt, but at the same time, it's enough to stimulate growth and protein synthesis. And because I'm good to go again the very next day, this means I can keep hitting those same muscle groups, keep on stimulating muscle growth, and I've seen great gains as a result of this. This is where training from home is advantageous. It's not a setback, it's not a compromise. It's actually going to give you better results than going to the gym, in that sense, at least. The thing about training from home, of course, is that incidental training and breaking up workouts throughout the day. Again, something you can't do at the gym. I've talked in the past about how I swing a kettlebell whilst I boil a kettle. I'm not going to do the pun again. I do calf raises whilst I'm brushing my teeth. This kind of constant movement keeps the body moving, keeps your energy levels up, and it's just more stimulus for growth. And likewise, if you're someone who's pushed for time, you might find that doing your push workout in the morning and your pull workout in the evening, 20 minutes each, is a better way for you to train in between whatever else it is that you're doing. To conclude then, there's really no reason not to train from home. And in fact, you can get some better results in a lot of ways by training from home. I highly recommend that anyone who isn't into fitness at all at least start with training from home. And if you're starting to think you need to move to the gym, I mean, obviously that's great if you choose to, and it has a lot of advantages, of course, but maybe just consider if that's definitely the right step for you and whether there are other ways you can be progressing from home, saving yourself money, saving yourself time, and actually being more likely to train more frequently. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Thank you so much for watching this one, and I'll see you next time. Bye for now. And imagine if my house was this aesthetic. It just would never happen with children.